Hello and welcome to the Mount Desert Island Hospital's 2020 virtual annual meeting. My name is Justin Starbird and I'm honored to serve as your moderator today. Before we get started, I want to let you know that the following meeting will also have a Q&A session for all of the presenters at the end of the event. If you'd like to ask a question or share a comment during the Q&A, please use the Q&A feature located in the bottom panel of your Zoom screen. This evening, we're fortunate to have the opportunity to hear from the leaders of our community's hospital who are working tirelessly to combat the COVID-19 pandemic to ensure that we are safe, prepared, and as informed as possible. And I'd be remiss if we did not mention that this will also be President and CEO Art Blank's final annual meeting before his much-deserved retirement in January of 2021. As he retires from his 20-year tenure as President and CEO, Art has a lot to be proud of, and some of you will hear about that today, or all of which you will hear about that today. But Art's true legacy is evident by the health and vibrancy of our community. It's evident in the faithful care community members receive, innovative partnerships that improved community health, such as the Community Dental Center and the Down East COVID-19 Task Force, the advancement of evidence-based emergency care here at MDI Hospital made possible by a long-term partnership with Penn Medicine, educational programs that foster young medical students and inspire their preceptors like the Tufts Main Tract program, and so much more. So without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to welcome Arthur J. Blank, President and CEO of Mount Desert Island Hospital. Art?
Thank you, Justin, and thank you so much for the kind introduction. And hello to everyone, and welcome. I want to share my welcome to the 123rd annual meeting of Mount Desert Island Hospital. So today, I want to start off by thanking our outstanding team at MDI Hospital and Health Centers and the Birch Bay Retirement Village for all they do to strengthen the health of our community. They truly are our everyday heroes, demonstrating MDI Hospital's core values of compassion, community, improvement, integrity, respect, and teamwork. Now, in recent months, we've had to call upon all of those core values more than ever before as we've responded to COVID-19. And I also want to thank you, our incredible community of patients, volunteers, donors, and friends, because without your support, none of the work that we do would be possible. As Justin mentioned, in January, I made the decision to retire as President and CEO at the end of 2020. I've had the privilege of working with my MDI Hospital colleagues since 1998, President since 99. And I can tell you that our small community is so blessed to be a place where such highly educated, skilled, and dedicated caregivers choose to come together, as they have here for many years. It has been a true honor to have the opportunity to work with this very, very special team. And although as health systems go, we are very small, but the diverse set of skills necessary to assure a safe environment for our patients and residents, good nutrition and state-of-the-art technology to support them, skilled clinicians to take care of them, and a financial structure to provide for them. It's truly remarkable. And I have been grateful and humbled by these folks from the day I arrived here. And then, as now, was a pivotal time in our history. But working together, our team established MDI Hospital's vision to be our community's medical home. In embracing our mission as a critical access hospital, we implemented innovative care models and incorporated 8 community health centers, including the Down East region's first full-service behavioral health center and the island's first nonprofit dental center. We also established the Birch Bay Retirement Village in 2003, serving our region's elders in an atmosphere that respects their desire for independence while offering support when and where it's most needed. So all of these activities have positioned us well for the unique challenges of the 21st century, including, unfortunately, the most immediate crisis of COVID-19. But working with colleagues here and in Philadelphia, we forged a groundbreaking teaching partnership in 2010 with Penn Medicine, and this program has become the cornerstone of MDI's innovative medical education program. While the influx of students has been disrupted by the pandemic, this program is ready to continue growing when this crisis has abated. So along with Penn Medicine, we now partner with, as you heard earlier, the Tufts University School of Medicine and Maine Medical Center, the University of New England, Jackson Laboratory, the University of Maine, College of the Atlantic, and several others. And all of these enhance our culture of learning while exposing new clinicians to the benefit of rural practice. So I'm proud to tell you that nearly 200 caregivers in training have participated in these unique new programs during my tenure, and I know many, many more will follow. MDI Hospital's drive for community service is also reflected in our Board of Trustees and Incorporators. Throughout my years as President and CEO, these leaders have been the hospital's compass, and I am very deeply grateful for their service and their support. Truly, we are fortunate that hundreds of volunteers give generously of their time and skill throughout this organization and throughout our organization this past year, donating more than 4,400 service hours. I might add, a great many of these volunteers are also tireless fundraisers, which is a giving tradition that also extends back to our initial year back in 1897. So getting to know hundreds of steadfast volunteers, getting to know hundreds of steadfast donors as well as volunteers in the past 20 years has also been a true privilege. The facility improvements that our donors have enabled are many, and just a few of them are the development of the Colquitt Inpatient Center and OB facility, our Island Infusion Center, the Community Health Center, and later the Dental Center, construction of the Lisa Stewart Women's Health Center, and most recently, the acquisition of a new state-of-the-art generator, to name just a few. But the impact of philanthropy goes so much further beyond our facilities. In fact, everything I've discussed today has happened with the hand-in-hand partnership of our generous and faithful donors. You've enabled our vision, and you've embraced it, and you've let us carry on and create the kind of support for our community that I do believe is second to none. So I am incredibly grateful for having this opportunity to have spent all the years I have on this island in the company of some wonderful colleagues and friends as we have developed the infrastructure here on Mount Desert Island for a very comprehensive safety net. And this past year, it's once again reaffirmed everything I treasure about our team and this community. Together, we have successfully adapted to unpredictable work conditions, new challenges, and the urgent need for preparedness. As I bid you farewell, still residing on this island, although getting some much needed family time, I also want to thank my successor, Christy Mcguire. Chrissy is MDI Hospital's current Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. We are also so pleased that she will take on the role of President and CEO starting January in 2021. Chrissy's been a strong leader in several roles since she began her time in our hospital in 2011. She has been the Vice President of Finance, the Chief Financial Officer, as well as Treasurer. And when she became Senior Vice President and COO in 2018, she assumed overall operational responsibilities while continuing to serve as the organization's CFO and Treasurer. Many, many hats. A remarkable leader. Chrissy's commitment to our mission, as well as her deep insight and experience, has moved our organization forward through increased efficiency, development of innovative partnerships, and always a strong advocate for our patients. And I'm very pleased to note that MDI Hospital is in capable hands at every level, every day. So again, I want to thank you all for your continued support of our community's medical home. And now it's my pleasure to have the opportunity to honor one of our dedicated board leaders. As I mentioned, our achievements are only possible because of the contributions of a number of compassionate, committed individuals. And that starts at the top with our volunteer board of trustees. Being a hospital trustee is one of the most difficult volunteer undertakings, and we're fortunate to have the dedicated commitment and diversity of talents that our trustees represent. This evening, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank the person who has led our trustees for the past 3 years. And if being a hospital trustee is a difficult job, chairing the hospital board may be the very most difficult. Jim Bright joined the hospital board back in 2011. He served as vice chair from 2014 and as chairman from 2017 until today. Jim has given unselfishly of his time, his insights, his strength, always focusing on what's important, our patients and residents. We often talk about how dynamic healthcare is, with new challenges every day, usually while we're complaining. But I will tell you, I am personally extremely grateful for Jim's calm and always positive, yet pragmatic perspective, both in guiding our board and in responding to my many, many urgent phone calls. And always with a sense of humor. So Jim, I am honored to recognize you tonight with this plaque. This is the weirdest thing I have ever done, I will tell you that. I'm honored to recognize you tonight with this plaque, commemorating your service. And I will tell you, my only regret is that we can't be in a big ballroom and you getting the standing ovation that you so greatly deserve. So thank you, Jim. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to MDI Hospital.
Thank you, Art. Yeah, Jim, that certainly deserves a ballroom full of applause. And I'm pleased to introduce you to the rest of the folks watching today, the chairman of MDI Hospital Board of Trustees, Jim Bright.
Thank you, Art. Geez, looking at myself on the screen is a little terrifying. Thank you, Art, and good afternoon, colleagues and friends of MDI Hospital. These are extraordinary circumstances we find ourselves in. Certainly, as my tenure as board chair began in 2017, no one could have imagined a virtual annual meeting taking place. But it's no surprise that MDI Hospital itself has been extraordinary throughout this year's pandemic crisis. Earlier this year, careful preparation on site assured our readiness during the 12 weeks of lockdown. As the crisis emerged, MDI Hospital formed the Downey's COVID-19 Task Force with stakeholders, nonprofits, and small business owners. Its mission: to mitigate the devastating effects of COVID-19, medical, scientific, and financial, Together, the Down East COVID-19 Task Force has made it possible to safely and healthfully reopen our towns and businesses. And this is extraordinary. It took cooperation, vision, and determination, qualities that are constantly demonstrated by the hospital. MDI Hospital's COVID-19 Sentinel program has attracted kudos from the state. In this crisis, we have served as a role model for rural communities in Maine and beyond. And that's been the case with so many other programs and initiatives over the years. MDI Hospital, quite simply, leads. I'm profoundly grateful to have had the opportunity to serve as chair of MDI Hospital's Board of Trustees. In this role, I've seen the hospital's leadership and responsiveness firsthand, embodied by the commitment of our outgoing president and CEO, Art Blank. As I close out my tenure as chair, I'd like to thank the Board of Trustees for their devoted efforts on the behalf of this institution. From the very start of the hospital existence in 1897, this board has brought together local and seasonal residents with a shared commitment, serving our community by guiding MDI Hospital through growth and change. My board colleagues inspire and enlighten me, and I thank you all. I'd also like to thank Art Blank and Christy Mcguire. I've been honored to serve as board chair under your exemplary, truly tireless leadership. What an experience to participate as you navigate this hospital through the challenges and opportunities. To the board, our incorporators, and the entire community, I just wanted to say how lucky we are to have such a valuable resource as MDI Hospital. I know, according to Jill Goldwaite's editorial in the paper last week, I'm expected to say this, but I truly feel that what we have at MDI Hospital is extraordinary. It's integral to the life and health of our island, and it never stops responding to our needs. And now, I'm very pleased to introduce the next chair of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Patricia Han. Patricia received her PhD in microbiology from George Washington University. As a researcher at the National Cancer Institute, she contributed to the development of several clinical trials focused on improving the diagnosis and therapy of cancer. These experiences give her a unique and valuable perspective on the healthcare provided to MDI Hospital. Patricia has also taken a keen interest in building collaborative networks among biomedical research institutions, emphasizing training and capacity building. She and her husband, Victor, became a full-time residents of MDI 20 years ago, the same year that Art Blank became MDI Hospital's president and CEO. Patricia has been affiliated with Mount Desert Island Biological Laboratory for 2 decades, and she currently serves as senior advisor to its president. With her distinguished career as a scientist and an administrator, we are so fortunate to welcome Dr. Patricia Han as the next chair of MDI Hospital's Board of Trustees. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim. You're right, it's a little weird to see your face, to see my face facing me. Anyway, I am going to start by thanking Jim. For me, one of the benefits, the many benefits of being on the hospital's board has been to get to know more people in our community, especially those who embrace and support the hospital's mission. And Jim is one of those very fine people. He's done an extraordinary job as our board chair, in that he has really completely earned the respect and confidence of the trustees and the leadership of our hospital, and certainly my admiration, respect, and appreciation. Jim, you've set a really high bar for me to try to attain. Many of you have heard the statement that we all stand on the shoulders of those who have come before us. And that is very true of the way I feel about becoming board chair. So thank you, Jim, for sharing your knowledge and expertise with me, for being an excellent chair and friend of the hospital, and for everything you are and everything you do. So thank you. So I am going to continue on the vein of telling all of you a little bit about my background, how I came to this island and where I'm from. I grew up in Fall River, Massachusetts, southeastern corner of Massachusetts. Received my bachelor's degree in biology from Manhattanville College, a small college in Purchase, New York. And then my PhD and master's degree in microbiology and virology from the George Washington University. From there, I did go to the National Cancer Institute, which is part of the National Institutes of Health. And I was really fortunate to work with an amazing group of talented research scientists in a fairly large lab devoted to using immunological methods to improve the diagnosis and therapy of cancers, especially those of the breast and colon. Some of the research that we did together ended up going forward in clinical trials, and some of those clinical trials resulted in really improved treatments and reagents for those cancers. And so I'm very proud of the work that I was able to do with this wonderful group of individuals. So in the year 2000, I did come to this island with my husband, Victor, and our 2 children. My husband's great joy was to build a home for us in Hulls Cove, where we still reside. And my children ended up going to both Connors Emerson and MDI High School. We've been year-round full-time residents since that moment and have been really pleased to be here in this community. At that time, I became administrative director and then vice president for administration at the MDI Biological Laboratory. In 2016, I stepped down from that position, and I still am, as Jim mentioned, engaged in a number of ways in enhancing and improving opportunities for biomedical research and biomedical research training in our state. Over these many years, my family and I have been the beneficiaries of some really expert and compassionate care from our hospital organization. And I truly believe that the only reason that that's possible is if every single employee of the institution is doing their job at the highest level all the time. And so my hat is off to all of you, all the employees of the hospital, for everything you do every day to make this excellence possible for those of us in the community. Becoming chair of the board is a wonderful opportunity for me to work even more closely with Art and Chrissy and my fellow board members to maintain and continue to build a very strong, independent hospital organization. I truly appreciate the value of MDI Hospital being an independent entity, committed to identifying the needs in our community and meeting those needs, as this institution, this organization has been doing during these unprecedented times. I look forward to working with all of you. I welcome your suggestions and advice, and I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to serve and for your support. Thank you.
Well, certainly congratulations and thank you, Patricia. It is now my honor to introduce Christy Mcguire, who, as you've heard already, wears many, many hats here at the hospital. She's Senior Vice President, COO, Chief Financial Officer, and Corporate Compliance Officer. She'll now give the Treasurer's report.
Well, thank you, Justin, and good afternoon, everyone. And all of you, we have deep gratitude for you participating in our virtual annual meeting. And to Art, this is not at all how I envisioned us celebrating your last tenure over this annual meeting. But I know there will be many more to come, and that you will be, as Patricia eloquently put it, a pillar of support for us moving forward. As we deal with these dynamic times, we are pleased to be able to report to you our financial results for the fiscal year ending 2020, which actually ended for us April 30th of this year. And for the first 10 months of that fiscal year, we were outpacing our budget, our expectations, and our prior year's performance. And we were doing that quite significantly. We had aligned our recruitment of our providers. Our primary care networks were entrenched and performing high. And unfortunately, as everyone in the region, the state, and the nation experienced the impact of the novel coronavirus, or COVID-19, our organization was not immune to that dramatic impact, which substantially reduced our service revenues. This was primarily due to the public health emergency that came with the COVID-19 response and the executive orders to shelter in place, leading to, of course, the closure of businesses, schools, and the many facets of our summer tourism industry. But it is so important to note that it also led to the health and welfare and safety of our community and our ongoing low positivity rate. However, our community, as they did, and they did well, they self-selected to halt seeking some of the services that we offered, and the hospital responded by reducing some non-essential services throughout the last part of our fiscal year. But we also pivoted, and we pivoted accordingly by moving to virtual platforms for non-essential health care visits, enrolled our providers in virtual technology to secure the stability of taking care of those patients and with chronic conditions, with behavioral health needs, as well as to be a familiar pillar for the social health and well-being of our community, our patients, our residents, and their extended families. These times highlighted how Mount Desert Island Hospital, our health centers, and Birch Bay Retirement Village are important partners in our community for establishing, defining the public health needs and infrastructure necessary during a public health emergency, such as COVID. And to note, nothing could have prepared us for this public health emergency. We are committed to providing these services, our leadership and guidance to help mitigate and prevent the spread through education, evaluating and understanding the science, which is dense and detailed, promoting the importance of testing, as well as the prevention of the three most important things we can all do: masking, distancing, and hand washing. We work tirelessly to secure the necessary supplies and resources to sustain us while we await a vaccination and prevent the spread. And through it all, the results of our consolidated financial statements for Mount Desert Island Hospital and Birch Bay Retirement Village were positive. Individually, both organizations posted strong results, and consolidated, we posted a positive operating margin of over 2.9%, increasing our net assets over our prior year by $2.7 million. With our ongoing commitment to strengthen our balance sheet and our financial position, so we are viable and sustainable for the future. And our continued support for those most in need is further highlighted by the over $6.4 million that we provided in free and uncompensated care to our community. We also understand the value of reporting for the 5th year in a row a positive operating result, as it does stand for the viability and sustainability of this community asset for which we are the stewards in our utmost strategic goal. Many of our peers are not as fortunate to have the community, the medical staff, and the team support that delivers these results collectively. The diligence of our team and the effort of this organization to reduce expenses, maximize telehealth services, the support of our donors, the support of our community, and that of the CARES Act, all allowed for these positive results. The support of the community has been remarkable through donations of face coverings, face shields, gift cards, meals to our frontline workers, supplies, and of course, the generous monetary support. This all supports the work that we are dedicated to doing to protect and serve our residents, our patients, and our greater community. And it exceeded our budget targets of over 60% for the budget in our prior year. The continued efforts of our organization will be laser focused on delivering high quality care to our patients and safe, reliable services to our residents of Birch Bay Retirement Village. And as Art stated, the heroes are all of the employees of these organizations who demonstrate our values each day to care for this community, for our patients, our residents, and their families. And then they take the time to care for each other. This requires lasting and increased resiliency from them, and they have delivered, whether procuring much needed supplies, resulting lab tests, driving lab tests late at night to a resulting test facility, running COVID-19 screening pavilions on campus and off campus, lending expertise in the community about education of mitigation and prevention, leading the state in testing at assisted living facilities and long-term care facilities, assisting our local schools, whether it was in proper ventilation or how to properly clean, scheduling and staffing single points of entry and screening, and working day and night on communication, and doing this all for the important goal of caring for the safety of our community. So we are the beacon of health, and we embrace that. We know the welfare of our community is the most important focus today, tomorrow, and each day thereafter. And we will be here to help define and lead the health and vibrancy of the community we serve. And to you, Arthur, we will not let you down in any of those goals. So thank you all for attending our virtual meeting. And Justin, I believe it's back to you.
Thank you, Christy. That is certainly very positive news in the midst of all of this difficult time. So thank you for sharing all that has been accomplished by the hospital. I'd now like to introduce Elise Flemings, the chair of the Mount Desert Island Hospital Governance Committee. Elise? Elsie Flemings. I'm sorry about that, Elsie.
No worries. Thanks.
So the chair of the Mount Desert Island Hospital Governance Committee, Elsie Flemings.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks, everyone. Great to be here and see so many familiar names. I wish I could see many of you, all of you in person. But so glad you're here, and thank you so much for taking time in this unusual format to be here today. So I have the honor of being the chair of the governance committee and serving on the hospital board. So that also means I have the honor of leading us through the approvals for the incorporators, for our new slate of and returning slate of incorporators, as well as our board of trustees. Before I do that, I'll just very quickly mention, as this is such a special meeting here with the transition, with honoring Art's many, many years of incredible service, and honoring Chrissy's incoming service as CEO, and then honoring Jim's many years of service as chair, and honoring Patricia coming in as chair, and all four who have come before me are such inspirational leaders to me, and I just so appreciate being able to serve with and for you and for the organization that we all hold so dear, and that serves such a critical, incredible role in supporting the health and safety of our communities. I did realize, I think I started as an incorporator 13 years ago, I think it was 2007, and then joined the board in 2009, and have had the incredible privilege of working alongside and supporting Art through all those years, and then and Chrissy and Patricia and Jim as well through the years. And so I can only try to share and express my gratitude for all of the work and all of the learning and all of the partnership that we have, and all of the success that we've been able to accomplish together with your leadership, the four of you, and so many others who are here or not here today in various forms. So as many of you know, the incorporator roles are very important, and we really, really appreciate and honor the time that many of you take as incorporators. I know not all of you here today are incorporators, but really appreciate the commitment that you make to serve as incorporators. As you probably know, but just as a reminder, the work that you do, of course, electing incorporators and board members, as well as supporting the hospital in various ways and serving as ambassador, advocate, liaison between the hospital and the community, or between the hospital and partners, is really invaluable, and really enables us enables the hospital to be the successful hospital and caregiver that we are. So thank you so much for your commitment. So, of course, we're not all together in the ballroom, and I wish we were, so we'll be doing the election a little bit differently. I think we can jump right in. I think Danny's going to share a screen here to walk us through this process, this unusual process. So hopefully folks can see this. I know a few of you are on the phone, and so what we'll be referencing is the slate of incorporators and renewing members that you should have received by email if you are current incorporators, and what we will do is the only way that really makes sense in this format is to be voting by chat, and so if you're not able to do that on Zoom, feel free to hopefully you've been able to voice any thoughts between when you got the slate and now. So so the chat feature of Zoom is now live, or will be shortly, and so incorporators are able to vote. And the chat, if some of you are unfamiliar, the chat is it should be at the bottom of your screen. I know some different platforms look a little different depending on what device you're using, but it should be at the bottom of your screen. It should say chat, and you. So if you're an incorporator, you can vote, and in a minute we'll show. Oh, there it is. Can you go back one, Danny, maybe just to make sure we've got it all clear if you haven't seen it. So in a minute we'll go back to that slide with the incorporators. And so if you're an incorporator, when we look at that screen, and you can even start now, it looks like folks are starting, so you can just type in either yes or no once the slate has been presented. So here are the incorporators that are the nominations. So these are both new and returning incorporators if their 5-year term is up. And we thank you all so much for being willing to serve as incorporators. So I'll just give a minute to have folks chime in if you are serving as incorporators to write either yes or no. And we'll just give a few minutes. Very, very different system than our usual hearty round of voice approvals at the ballroom. So, but thank you all for being here and for being so willing to be flexible with this format to keep us all safe and to keep our communities safe. So we'll just give another minute. We've got no no's at the moment. So I think, and I know not everyone may have access or ease to do the chat. But again, if you are an incorporator, you can use the chat function now to write either yes or no. Okay. Well, we have consensus. Oh, and we got one more in. So thank you all so much. This is a wonderful vote and a wonderful vote of confidence in the incorporators who were so willing to step up and serve and continue to support our hospital. We might want to go back into the screen share in a minute, Danny, so we can move on to the returning trustees. So just so folks can see it on the screen, if that's helpful. So we now get to move on to trustees. So we have a strong, big board this year. And so we are, and we've also had a lot going on. So we are really appreciative that our trustees are, who were up for re-election, are coming back. And so our slate today is all returning trustees. So Dr. Edward Benz, Madeline Braun, Jim Bright, and Sarah Fina. So now the incorporators have a chance to vote on this slate of returning trustees, yes or no, in the chat box. Great, and Dean clearly differentiated. We're on to trustees. So any yes from now on, we know is, and I think one up above him. So this is now the vote for trustees. Thank you all so much for your patience and flexibility in supporting this process. We'll give it just a minute. Next time, if we ever have to do this again, we could figure out some voting music to entertain us while we chat vote.
Nothing like being on the stage by yourself, even virtually, right? We'll see.
Just keeping it interesting. So if anyone else is able to join by chat to vote for the returning trustees, that would be great. So, and again, this is all incorporators are able to vote here for the trustees. Great. All right. Thank you, Danny. I think you can end the screen share. And so I think our governance portion of the meeting is complete with unanimous support for both the slate of incorporators and the slate of board members. Oh, there was a question about the terms of trustees. So incorporators it's a term of 5 years and trustees are a term of 3 years. Thanks, Chris. And there will be a chance for Q&A on any topics, as Justin mentioned at the beginning. Once we finish our formal round, our formal presentations here, we'll have a chance for any Q&A that comes up. So thank you all so much. Thank you again so much for pivoting, for being so willing to come on. This is not nearly as fun as being at the Bar Harbor Club together with you all, but we really, really appreciate your service. Your support, your leadership and partnership and advocacy. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you.
Well, thank you, Elsie, for being brave to join us on the virtual stage today, even as it is silent without our music. So if we ever have to do this again, we're taking notes to make sure that we can improve that. So now I'd like you all to join me in welcoming Art back to our virtual stage here to recognize our Employees of the Year. Art?
Thank you, Justin. I want to again thank all of those that have agreed to serve as a volunteer leader in our organization. And it is what part of what makes our organization so strong is the diverse group of folks that we have that give of their time. And as I mentioned earlier, it takes a very diverse, highly skilled group of people to provide the services that we provide throughout our organization. And our Employees of the Year this year reflect that span of skills. Again, I really wish you could talk with these folks, but I do have the distinct honor of recognizing both the MDI Hospital and the Birch Bay Retirement Village 2020 Employees of the Year. So the 2020 Employee of the Year for Birch Bay Retirement Village is Jenny Mishu. Jenny provides all of our residents at the Birch Bay Village a clean and comfortable environment to live in. She's always a team player and puts a lot of care into thought in everything she does. So congratulations to Jenny. And for those of you that know her, hopefully you'll get a chance to thank her. The MDI Hospital 2020 2020 Employee of the Year is Barbara McPike. Barbara's our quality and safety guru, and she's seen it all throughout the years. She has performed many different services within the nursing realm, and she always has a positive attitude and has remained determined and compassionate throughout this pandemic, selflessly taking on any challenge that she is handed. She is our infection preventionist. They've unfortunately perfected it, but she is our preventionist, and as you might imagine, she's called into service at all kinds of times right now and has done a fantastic job. So congratulations and thank you, Barbara. So I do want to share one thing with you very quickly, and that's to apologize for the weather. But I'll blame that on COVID too. We do have a tradition of having good weather for our annual meetings, and we actually count on that one evening of sunshine. And it's only because we've been forced into a virtual platform, I'm sure, that we're seeing some rain today. So one more thing to blame on the virus. So, thank you.
Of course, that's a great thing to blame on the virus today. It would be remiss if we didn't have rain, right? So, thank you, Art. I appreciate that. Christy, I'd like to welcome you back to the stage to have a few words as well.
Well, thank you. You're right. It would be great if we had a little music, a little background dancing, and since we do live in Groundhog Day now, Art, I can appeal to the gray skies outside. But Jim, I'd like to thank you for your years of service, your guidance and expertise. I will be looking forward to for the next few years. Yeah, you know, even when you dress up with a bow tie, you still don't get out of volunteering. So we appreciate your ongoing service. And Patricia, I'm especially looking forward to the work, the ongoing work that we will do to strengthen the health and vibrancy of our community and to work on our strategic initiatives together. So that is incredibly important. Elsie, thank you for the collaboration and leadership of our community. I think the work that you do to balance all that you do is incredibly important, but also that you are always thinking and strategically focused on what we can do and pushing us to be better in delivering a more succinct healthcare model. So thank you for all of that. But I'd also like to thank all the individuals, and we can't see you, but we hope you are enjoying our virtual meeting tonight. But we would be remiss if we didn't spend just a few minutes, and this isn't all of the roasting that will happen, so don't worry, Arthur, there will be much more for the next few months, but recognizing that this is Art's last meeting that he will be presiding over for an annual meeting for MDI Hospital Health Centers and Birch Bay Retirement Village. We have to take that opportunity to recognize his years of service. So for the past 20 years, as you have heard, Art has served this community, our patients, our residents, family, and our team members. He has acted in multiple roles throughout this tenure, but nothing has been more important than his service as president and CEO. And his impact will live on through those who he has influenced, including myself. Under Art's guidance, leadership, and vision, our organization has prospered. As I reported earlier today, it was with Art's vision for strengthening our financial position, our balance sheet, that we united our efforts together over the past 9 years to continue to do that. His passion and strategic focus have been on improving the health of this community, the vibrancy of those we serve, but to look at this not from just what we do for those in our primary community, but what can we do to improve the health of our state and of our country. And he serves us in those capacities. And he does that with an incredible essence and passion for healthcare. This strategy has been built on what I call those 4 I's of Art: innovation, integration, improvement, and independence. And we joke with each other because every day we wake up with a fierce commitment to those I's, but a fierce commitment to be independent. And we understand that that is what our community wants. And we do that through advocacy, through collaborations, affiliations, and often it's through true sweat equity that we devote to the efforts of this organization. So we have a deep gratitude and appreciation for your mentorship, your coaching, your guidance, your leadership over the past 20 years. And personally, I am so grateful that you took a chance on me and for your belief in me 9 years ago, as we work together to unite and achieve our goals. We will honor your legacy by aspiring to continue to the great work you generously dedicated your time and energy to. While this is not farewell, we recognize and celebrate your service to MDI Hospital and Birch Bay Retirement Village and the greater community, and we look forward to the commitment and to continue that great work that you spent the last 20 years dedicated and devoted to. After January, there will be some things that we will miss. Our Monday morning debriefings where the Patriots beat the Giants. Oh, those are good times. Your impeccable driving skills. And if anyone's driven with Art, you know brake pads are always in his future. The sound of that empty carafe as it's drained at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're looking around because I'm not making you coffee. But most importantly, we will miss you. And we thank you, and we thank Deb, and we thank Jared and Amanda for sharing you for these past 20 years, because we are indebted to you from your MDI Hospital and Birch Bay Retirement families. Although you are not going far, you will be right at my speed dial. I am incredibly pleased to recognize you in your efforts at this last 2020 annual meeting. So thank you, Art.
Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you to all the speakers tonight, and for all of you for joining us in this unique format. Thank you all to the dedicated team members of Mount Desert Island Hospital, the health centers, and Birch Bay Retirement Village for all you do to keep our community healthy and safe each and every day. I see that some of you have already started to write questions in the Q&A. If you'd like to join us, we'll now move into that portion of this presentation. So think of it like we were in the ballroom, and you're able to come up afterwards and ask each of the speakers questions related to their areas of expertise. So if you go ahead and put questions that you have in the Q&A, we'll go ahead and take a moment to let those populate if there are any, and then assign those to the appropriate person. I see we have one now, and I will open it up to the panelists to answer based on your area. But what's the biggest challenge facing the hospital, I'm assuming now into the rest of the year and into 2021?
It's a very good question, actually, because what I can assure you is the biggest challenge we have is the one we don't know about. And that's really what has driven a lot of the focus as we have worked with our community and with our team on addressing the COVID pandemic. We have a virus that is in March was very unknown to us in terms of the science and how best to address it and how best to operate our hospital within the environment of COVID. I'm happy to say that we know a lot more today, or at least we think we do, than we did then. But every day we're learning new things about the virus, and we're learning new things about how it impacts both our patients as well as the community. So I think that the biggest challenge that we have clearly is to make sure that we are able to stay informed as to what the latest best practices are and what the latest strategies are for mitigating any damage. And I do need to call out again, the Down East Task Force that actually Elsie chairs, that, sorry, I shouldn't like that, Elsie leads. And that has really been great for us, both as a learning experience and as a way to collaborate with the community.
Great. Would anybody like to add to that?
Well, he's so used to me always adding to that, so I will simply echo what Art is saying. But I also want to frame that the ongoing challenges that we will continue to navigate is really around the supply chain and making sure that we have the adequate supplies for the safe return for our kids to school, for our teachers, for our community, to do the proper planning that we need to be thinking about, to look at the infrastructure needs of our organization longitudinally. COVID has really been a dynamic, thought-provoking process for us as an organization. And when you think about public health and the infrastructure of public health, is the Down East Task Force is delivering a focused public health initiative. And those are the things that are most challenging for us, but they're also opportunities. I think every time we look at something, we look at this as this might be a strength, a weakness, an opportunity, or a threat, and we have to work together as a community to deal with that. And we are so blessed to have this community who gain all of the energy, the synergy that came together. The business community, the municipalities, public health organization, the hospital, and the schools, focused on let's all have a common message. Let's all work towards doing the right thing. Let's distance, let's mask, and let's do the right hygiene so we can be a leader in a tourism industry that is unheard of. So even though those are challenges, we continue to work through those challenges, and we are working towards collaborations that will improve that. But for us, the most concerning challenge is around having the adequate supplies as we move into the fall, where we have additional flu and respiratory illnesses that we will be dealing with.
Thank you, Art. Thank you, Chrissy. Are there any other questions? You'd use the Q&A feature at the bottom, not the chat feature, but the Q&A feature. How can the community best prepare for the year ahead? That's a question I think that's on everybody's mind, especially with schools reopening and, the community coming together now. Who would like to take that?
Well, I'll just reiterate what Chrissy said regarding masking and social distancing and hygiene. Again, our community, we are so amazed by how consistent our community has been in promoting a safe environment here, and we do believe strongly that that's why we are able to talk about reopening our schools, and that's why we are in the enviable position of not having any community spread in our communities. But the challenge I think that we're all facing is fatigue. We've been doing this a long time, but we do need to continue to be able to do this. I think the other thing that I know we are focused on at the hospital is also to learn, as Chrissy also said, to kind of look at this as an opportunity. We are learning a lot about how to protect each other when there is an infectious disease floating around. And there will be others. I mean, this is far and away the worst one that any of us have experienced in our lifetimes. But it is part of the environment that we live and work in. And this gives us, by this focus that we currently have, it gives us the opportunity going forward to look at how do we reframe all of our what will ultimately become normal activities, so that we're doing it in a way that mitigates the impact of any future infectious diseases that we're dealing with.
Great. Does anybody want to add anything to that at all?
Justin, the only thing I would add to that is taking an opportunity to do a debrief. The work that we did for the summer for our businesses, our local businesses, but really what lessons did we learn and how can we be prepared for an additional season where we can actually introduce more individuals back into our community to explore the beauty of the assets that we are so blessed to be around. Those are things I think are important, and we are so busy right now making sure that we are prepared for the next iteration of work and prevention, that we need to take a little bit of time to debrief and say, what did we learn? What will we do different? And I think that's something that the Down East Task Force, the leader here on my tile, will help us navigate as we think about what did we do well, what do we want to muscle memory and make sure that we keep, and what could we improve. It's really important. There's so much talent and so many resources here within our community. We don't want to lose the work that was accomplished.
That's a bit of like seeing the forest through the trees, right? So taking the time to reflect, and how do you make time for that, especially as you're starting to go into a cold and flu season? How will that fall on the responsibility of the task force, or will that be something that leadership kind of sets aside and says, hey, we really need to dig into this?
So the one thing we have done is we have found time when we didn't know there was time. And that goes back to the leaders that you're looking at in this panel. Is this kind of commitment is the leadership commitment of realizing the value, and the purpose statement is the health and welfare of our community comes first. And we are dedicated to that. And to be able to find the time is what we do. And we juggle and we balance and we check in. And if it's, there are unique things, right? There are kids doing homework in the background. There are things we do to be connected. And that's just what we're committed to. And most likely the best, and I'm not intentionally putting Elsie on the spot, but the best place to do that, where all of the subject matter experts were involved and connected, would be through the Down East Task Force to continue that work.
Elsie, are you up for the challenge?
I'm happy to continue to facilitate the incredible work of the leaders, as Chrissy said, the many leaders in our community who are involved in the task force. And if others have thoughts of other issues that we should be addressing, we have such a diverse group on that committee that will bring in new issues as they come along. It's a very sort of organically evolving process. And so, we initially started with a big focus on the coming, back in April, on looking ahead to the coming tourist season, as well as immediate issues around safety and wellness. And then, of course, as the summer progressed, we started really turning our attention to schools, and other issues come up as they do. And so anybody here participating today has ever any thoughts of issues to bring up, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we're always open to tackle the next important thing, and all of them all of them at once as needed. And I would just add to along the lines of what we've been talking about here. I love to think about, so absolutely, of course, what Chrissy and Art said when we're thinking about preparing ourselves to continue to be safe and healthy, particularly amidst the pandemic. So of course, absolutely, the three important issues around masking, physical distancing, and hand washing hygiene. And then I like to add a fourth of kindness, and just thinking about how we can be kind to each other in our daily lives. Like what Chrissy said, even being kind to a partner or coworker who might have a child in the background, and also being kind within our community, knowing that there are a lot of people struggling now in a lot of different ways, whether it's isolation, food insecurity, concerned about healthcare, other health issues, mental health supports, et cetera. And just thinking about how we can pitch in, continue to pitch in. And those of you who are here because you give so much to our community and to the hospital, and continuing to spread that message amidst, what is a hard season for many reasons, and can easily become divisive. Even just thinking about the pandemic, right? These issues can become divisive, and thinking about how we can promote the health and safety, very, very important critical health and safety messages, and also support and encourage and cultivate kindness as we enter this tough year ahead.
So one more question that just came up about folks that are visiting, family and friends that are from out of state, that would like to visit the island, visit their family on the island. Where do they find the rules and enforcement of compliance that's required? Where do they find those types of resources?
So the Maine CDC, Justin, has a wonderful website, and it's literally just Google mainecdc.gov or just Maine CDC, and there are icons on that website for tourists, and depending on if you're an exempt state or not, it actually outlines what the requirements are to visit our great state. And of course, we as an organization and as a public health leader always want to make sure that anything we do is in alignment with the Maine CDC, and we promote and continue to promote that even when you're here, it does not hurt to continue to do the masking and distancing and the hygiene that is important to prevent the spread of COVID and really hold pristine our positivity rate, which is non-existent in our community. So that is something that is available, and whoever needs that, we actually on MDIHospital.org website, we have a link to a plethora of resources that our communications team and the Down East Task Force has put together to be able to have handy for our community as well. And we are here to help. We have a COVID hotline, so we could help navigate through that as well. So there's many accessibility points to get that information.
Great. One last question for you, Art, as you get ready for retirement, as you look back at all of your achievements, what would you say is your most crowning achievement, and what are you looking forward to in retirement?
I would have to say that the thing that I'm really most proud of is many of the things that you heard tonight, and no one individual thing, but it's more the diversity of opportunities that we've been able to develop with this very exceptional team I've had the pleasure of working with, to provide the kind of healthcare safety net that we have for our community. And in terms of what I'm looking forward to, I certainly am. My grandchildren are 12 and 14, and I have not seen them anywhere near enough. So that would be number one, or one/1. The other one is my wife, who has spent many hours wondering when I was going to get home. So I think I have a whole lot to be thankful for, and part of what I have to be thankful for is to what I have to look forward to. So thank you.
Great. Well, we have a lot to be thankful for in your leadership and what you've done in this community. So thank you for all of your contributions and leadership through the years. And thank you for allowing me to moderate this great discussion this evening in your annual meeting. I'm going to turn it back over to you, to Art, for a final adjournment.
So again, I just want to thank everyone for participating in this wonderful event. Congratulations, Jim. Congratulations, Patricia. Congratulations and good luck, Chrissy. And thank you for the kind words. I also do want to thank our advancement team. They did an incredible job putting this together. And, you know, when you think about people who are responsible for communications in an organization, and then you impose physical distancing and a ban on gatherings, and it kind of changes their world quite a bit too. So thank you all. Thank you very much. It's a great team. I know I'd leave somebody out if I tried to list them all at this point. But again, thank you all so much for supporting this great hospital. And I know that the new leadership will create stronger partnerships with this great community of ours. So again, thank you. And I move to adjourn the meeting.
So moved. Thank you.